Hello, everyone. I'm happy to start this conference to talk about an important subject today is COVID-19 disease. I'm not a doctor. I don't have medical knowledge, but today we'll speak about Bluetooth app, and I develop a Bluetooth app in my day-to-day job. And I will thank Thomas Hausherr from l'UNABI that reviewed my talk and put great feedback to improve that. So the first point is a recommendation from World Health Organization to fight against COVID-19. The solution is to test people, trace people that can be that can be in contact to sick people and isolate these people. The point we interest today is tracing people. In France, we have a solution for that, and the solution is just a hotline with real people. You tell to this hotline who you meet, when, and they call back these people to warn them and to ask them to test. We can try to improve that by technology. And the naive way to do that is a tracking app. A tracking app can do this kind of feature. I walk through Paris. I meet Antoine at Hôtel de Ville. I meet Bertrand at Châtelet-Les Halles. And then I meet Christophe at Place de la Concorde. And with that, I can know that maybe if I'm declared sick, they can be too. To do that with this naive technology, we can do that with standard localization like GPS technology. It's really naive to do that like that, but there is a big problem with that, a problem with privacy. It's not privacy safe. We know where are the person, and it's a problem about privacy. It's not a so big problem because today, Google owns all this data about me. Here is a screenshot of all my travel before the lockdown around France and near Europe. And they know a lot of things about me, the date I go to some spot, and the exact name of the spot I visit. But we can do that better with a tracing app. In fact, we don't need to know the exact name of the people you meet. We don't need to know who you meet, where you meet this person. We just need to know some information about the contact itself. What we remember is I meet someone, doesn't need the name, last Monday morning, doesn't need a precise time frame. But less than 1 meter is an important information, and during an hour too. And to do that, we can build that with Bluetooth. What's the concept of a Bluetooth contact tracing app? It's really simple. You use your phone, generate an ID that changes every 30 minutes. We call that an ephemeral ID. And it broadcasts this ID all around the phone by BLE. It's a subset of Bluetooth, Bluetooth Low Energy. It's exactly like an iBeacon. It's the same technology as an iBeacon. Your phone is transformed to an iBeacon with an ID that changes every 30 minutes. And other phone in the nearby just log every ID they meet, plus metadatas. Metadatas are a date frame, a course date frame, a duration, and a distance. When we say that, there is a lot of question of how to build that in a server way and which data get out of your phone. If we want to be privacy safe, there is data that will travel between actors, and we need to choose which data have to travel. There is 3 actors. The phone of people detected as sick, tested by our real medical staff, and detected as COVID+, a server from a health authority In every solution, there is a server from a health authority and all the other phone, the phone from potential contact. The first draft of a solution for that was built in Singapore with a technology called centralized architecture, and used after that in research in Europe by a research center called PEPPT. And this is a technology now used in France to do contact tracing app. With a centralized architecture, when you detect a sick, when you test, you send anonymized contacts, ephemeral IDs, you meet to a health authority, and every day, every 24 hours, your phone as a potential contact asks the authority that computes the risk, that doesn't save your ask, but computes the risk in the server, and ask, am I at risk? Yes or no? And the yes or no, the result of this yes or no is just a notification, a push notification. Here there is a potential risk. If there is a hacker that access to this server from health authority, if we have a malicious health authority, they can maybe log a contact graph of sick people. If a hacker access to the server, just access to the server, that can't access to anything because the data is not saved on the server. But if he can put a malicious logger on the server, maybe that can be a risk. To protect that, another team from Swiss, from EPFL, Polytechnique Lausanne, imagine another framework, another architecture is decentralized architecture. Here, the system is, when you're sick, you send your ID, your anonymized ID, and saying, I'm sick, to a health authority server. And every day, every 24 hours, the server sends this information to everyone. They send all the anonymized I'm sick information. Here we also have a risk. Another risk, another potential risk is someone can intercept this medical data and know in the population who are sick. We can discuss what's the best of this both solution, but there was a risk in these two cases. To compare with the actual solution we use in France is the process of the French brigade. With a brigade, you don't directly use a phone, but you call someone in the brigade, real people. You transmit to these people medical information. You are sick, your contact, the phone number of your contact, maybe the position, the restaurant you went, and the bar you went, and so on. And these people can keep this information and call your contact to tell them they are sick. It's really important to have this solution because for people that don't have smartphone, it's the only way to do that. But it's a solution we act to use in France now. And as you understand, here we have risk everywhere. We can keep this data in every point. There can be a human mistake everywhere. So if we sum up, we have two solutions, centralized and decentralized, built for privacy safety. It's a technology solution to help this privacy safety. Both have problem, but compared to the only working solution for all the population, brigade, it's quite safe in a privacy way. About that, Apple and Google do something really, really new in their history. I develop apps since more than 10 years, and it's the first time I see that. Document, an announcement from Apple and Google, both logo on the same document, communication the same day. They build something based on the work of community of scientific, and they build a common API to build contact tracing app. It's available in the last version of iOS when it was released, and a bit more in Android thanks to Play Services technology. What they build? they don't build apps. They just build an API, and nothing is imposed to state. If you are a government, you can build an app, and you can do what you want. You can do what you want and configure that, param that as you want, because Apple and Google are not medical institutions, as they don't want to choose for that. And you can configure that with four criteria. The transmission risk is a percentage of possibility you can transmit the disease. The day the day during you can transmit the disease. In France, we say it's 14 days. The duration of the contact, in France, we say is at least 1 hour. And something related to the distance, we call that the attenuation because it's a Bluetooth measurement, but it's strongly related to the distance, and in France, we say it's 1 meter. With all of that, we had some weight, and we compute a weighted average of all these numbers, and if this number is up to a threshold, you're at risk. So here we have 9 criteria in reality. The 9 value of frame for the 4 value of frame for the 4 criteria, the 4 weight, and the threshold. In terms of code, it's really strong protected for developer. Before you're notified you're at risk, the only information on the top you have is the key data. Key data is just the ID, the ephemeral ID generated by the phone. But after you're notified at risk, you can get information about the contact. You can get the date, the duration, the distance, and all of that to compute the risk. If you're behind the threshold, you get nothing. Who can build this app? Not everyone. There is an entitlement on iOS. It's really hard to get this entitlement. Basically, just government can build this app. Apple say you can also build an app if you are a health NGO, like World Health Organization. Deeply credentialed in health issue company. I'm not sure company gets this agreement. And medical or educational institution, mainly for training purpose. Last 3 weeks ago, I think, something changed in this technology. Apple announced a new framework, Exposure Notification Express, and they announced the end of contact tracing app. Now it's directly built in iOS system. You don't need anymore to build an app, just an API as a government. And it's an answer to the complexity of adhesion between the contact tracing app and the system. The German app, for example, was broken 2 times since launch because of iOS updates, and it's really difficult for Apple to improve the system without breaking the apps. So they propose that. Today, it's not implemented yet in any country. Google had not released that, but will in the next months, maybe. And just some American states announced they will use that in the future. Washington, D.C., Virginia, and 2 other, I don't remember. All of that take a question of sovereignty. Why do we, as a government, as a population, trust more Apple and Google than our government? Because we see both technology, centralized and decentralized, are built to be privacy safe. The problem here is mostly if someone is malicious in the process. Personally, I can trust my government. Not every country, not every people in the world can say that. So Apple and Google take the choice to use a decentralized technology to avoid that. If you live in China or in India, maybe you can't trust your government, and maybe Apple and Google have to force one way to do that, and one way privacy safer if your government is malicious. But if we want to build our own app, is it still possible? Can we build an app without this API? Yes. Yes, but it's not so simple, and the main problem is on iOS. On iOS, background mode is quite restrictive, and particularly for Bluetooth. If you want to use Bluetooth in background mode, you can scan device around you in the nearby, but you cannot broadcast any data. There is a well-known workaround for that for contact tracing app, found by Singaporean app and used in French app. It's to declare your device, all Android device as iBeacon. And as you know, iBeacon can wake up your app, your iOS app, and launch again the broadcast. So with this kind of techniques, you just need at least one Android device in each meeting. Normally in France, it's every time the case. Maybe not in this place because you are all iOS developer and you all have an iPhone, but in a normal place, there is no problem. There is also issue about background mode on Android. Less issue, but issue, there is issue. It's not a screenshot of a contact tracing app. It's a screenshot of my app, of my day-to-day jobs that use Bluetooth. And if you want to use Bluetooth on Android, you have to, the Bluetooth call have to be done from a foreground service. And a foreground service need a notification to start and a certain kind of notification, priority low or more. Priority low means if you see this menu, you always see the notification. Some constructor like Samsung add some additional information in that. This app is draining your battery, and it's a problem for some people. In fact, it's just an information. If you build a contact tracing app with the exposure notification framework from Google, the app do the same and drain the same amount of battery. It's just not shown to the user. And in fact, it's not a lot. So what happened in France first? In France, we choose to build an app in a centralized architecture. What's the team to build that? The team is mostly a public government team. The team was led by INRIA, and the president of INRIA is this guy, Bruno Sportis. He is a person that presents the app to the government. Here he was asked by the assembly about the app. And all the team lead was, all the decision was made by INRIA. INRIA is a research organization in France about IT, information technology. There was help a lot by other public organization. INSERM first, it's a health research organization that explain how the disease works. Santé Publique France, that the organization that applied medical stuff in France, that apply how to cure this disease, and ANSI, it's a security organization in France that checks that everything is okay about security with the app. And five private companies, Capgemini, Dassault Systèmes, Lunabi Studio, Orange, and WeThings. In our subject we talk about today, the apps were developed by Lunabi Studio. Lunabi Studio develops both of the two apps, iOS and Android. And in our community today, we know well Lunabi Studio. It's a small company known to build great iOS and Android app. So when I was informed to that, for me it's quite a good news to choose, the government choose such a company. Quick word about stats about French StopCovid app. The app was downloaded only 2.5 million times, and 1 million people uninstall the app. 300,000 people reinstall the app, but it's quite a failure. Only 5,100 tested case was declared in the app. To declare a case, you have to be tested by a doctor and scan a QR code, and only 5,000 people was declared. With these people, only 307 contact cases was found. The numbers come from beginning of September. There is some more between beginning of September and today, but it's the last public numbers we know. And in this case, only 268 notification was sent. Why the difference between these two numbers? Because some of people uninstall the app before getting the notification. The future of the app, according to Inoya president, is to improve the user experience of the app. The main problem with the app today is the app is too silent. When you open the app, it works in background, and you don't understand what the app do. And now the goal is to improve that, to understand well why you use this app. Small word about cost. We saw a lot of things in newspaper, in particular in Lobs, that talk about 300,000 euro per month. It's not the case. First point, private companies that works on this project during lockdown do that for free. The first money we spent as a community was after the lockdown, after the launch of the app in the beginning of June. And the only numbers, public numbers as I get was this one. This one, our budget, the only point I'm sure is that this budget, we don't spend more money than this budget. So the hosting and dev cost is approximately 100,000 euro per month since the launch of the app. One great comparison for that is the German app, Corona-Warn. This app is interesting because Germany started to work with France in a centralized architecture. They work together to build this app, and just before the release, they changed their mind and use the Apple and Google technology exposure notification. So the only app they released was based on Apple and Google technology. If we check the stats, the app was downloaded a lot more of the French app, 18 million downloads, but there was only 3,613 hotline call. In German app, there is no QR code to say you're sick. You have to call a hotline to say I'm sick. They check something. We can't know how much notification was sent because it's the concept of decentralized architecture. So we never can get this stat. And most interesting point, the German app costs 68.8 million euro. It's not just development and hosting, it's also marketing, but 18 million euro was spent in just developing and hosting the app. You can compare that less than 400,000 euro in France. Quick look again to Singapore and UK. Singapore, because Singapore launched the first contact tracing app in the world. They invent the concept, they publish that in open source to help other countries to do the same. And they quite stop using it today because they think that Bluetooth is not as reliable as other technology. So they put some QR code in every building, and you have to scan the code when you enter a building every time you go. It's less privacy safe, really less privacy safe, but more reliable, and it's more important for Singapore government. United Kingdom is interesting too because they try to launch a centralized app like France. it was a big failure, and they removed this app from the store. And 2 weeks ago, they launched a new version of the app based on exposure notification, Apple and Google technology. And this one was quite well downloaded. One interesting point here is open source. All this technology are open source. I take a lot of time in my lockdown to read that. DP3T is the main decentralized technology. On GitHub, you can see white paper, no code, but white paper, mathematical concept, and cryptographic functions. Robert, the most important centralized framework, is also available on GitHub with the same type of document. Mostly all the apps in the world are in open source. StopCovid in France is hosted in the INRIA GitLab. We discuss a lot about that, but all the code is here. The only information that is not in this GitLab are the password and certificate and the stuff you never commit in a Git, in fact. And even Apple code from exposure notification is open source. You can download that in Apple website. Is flagged as snippet code, so maybe not the real code, but really close to code you have in your phone. One point about debates we get in France, we got a lot of debates in the population, but also a lot of debates in the developer community, and it's more important for me. This guy in charge of IT in French government, Cédric O, was a bit the focus of these critics. And we debate a lot about privacy, about open source, about cost, about the CNIL recommendation. CNIL is GDPR French organization. And the most important recommendation they do is not use reCAPTCHA from Google to prevent DDoS attack. This recommendation is now solved because Orange built a sovereign CAPTCHA to solve this problem. And the conclusion of that is a global distrust of the app in the developer community. And we see a lot of social network advice don't use this app. And I have a problem with that because for me, technically, this app is at least okay. This app works, do what we want, what we ask, and do the good thing we ask to the app. Also, important point here is the first time in my life I see we discuss about an app in assembly or in Senate. For this app, there was debate in the government. Should we use an app? And it's for a good point, maybe an app that can help to cure a disease. So it's a great opportunity for our community to help the population with that. Small word about Jean Castex's position. You maybe saw a TV show, a famous TV show last week, where Jean Castex, Prime Minister in France, said he doesn't use StopCovid app. Indeed, it's a wrong message at all for the population. If Prime Minister doesn't use the app, it's not the good way to say to people to use the app. But in fact, this guy, I hope this guy is already traced in a non-anonymous way every day by the secret services in France. And normally, we can say, we can find every people he meets, every contact case, and contact this one. We don't need an app for these people. As a conclusion, do I use this app personally? Yes, I use this app. Should you here use StopCovid app or any contact tracing app in every country? Corona Warn in Germany, in country you live or travel? I think, yes, you should use this app. There is no big privacy problem with contact tracing apps. These apps are built technically to save your privacy. And this app will not cure the disease, it's a fact, but maybe they can help a bit the medical staff to cure the disease. And if it's the case, I can take the risk. Contact tracing apps today are way safer than apps you build for your day-to-day job. It's safer to download this app than the app I build because there is no analytics, no other stuff in that, and it's safer and can maybe help to cure this disease. Is it the best technical solution? It's a complex question. If I was today the guy that decided in the government to choose a technology or another, I probably choose the Apple and Google exposure notification technology for pragmatic reason, but the debate is not so close. Quick word about tomorrow. I didn't speak about Bluetooth limitation and precisely the distance computation between two devices. There is a technology to solve that if we get a new pandemic in the next year. I hope not, but if we get a new pandemic, there is a technology coming. This technology is ultra-wideband, UWB. Ultra-wideband is, in fact, just Bluetooth with additional hardware stuff. And it's rely on iOS on U1 chips available since iPhone 11. And it's the technology that is used in AirDrop to do the precise localization in AirDrop. And with that, we can build a quite perfect contact tracing app. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mathieu. I took some notes on my iPad.
I have to put the mask?
No.
Well, no, actually, no, not for you. Ask.
Yeah, just ask. So the conclusion is like, once again, Bluetooth is shitty, right? Doesn't work.
Bluetooth is not shitty. Bluetooth is the best technology today to do that. And we find a hardware way to fix Bluetooth. And this way is ultra-wideband.
Yeah, okay.
Is the technology behind car key, for example, and all these technology are based on ultra-wideband.
Yeah, and is it available now on Android phones?
It's available on Android phone software. The point is there hardware today?
Most of the cheapest one.
Not yet.
Okay. Who's living in France here? Okay. Oh, so who's not living in France? Okay. So almost everyone is living in France. Who installed the app? StopCovid app?
Who uninstalled the app?
Who uninstalled the app?
Okay.
Oh, actually, I did install the app and I'm using it. But yeah, that's not a big success. But do you think it's is it from any way related to the technology? Because at some point you compare the German solution and the French solution, and you showed us a number of install. But is it really does it really depend on the technology, or is it?
The problem in France was marketing around the app. We didn't do a good marketing about that. We didn't communicate enough to use this app, and a lot of people fight against this app. My point of view here is that developers fight a lot against this app for not technical reason. Technically, in fact, this app is privacy safe, and I can compare that to the debate about 5G. 5G technology for mobile. It's quite the same. We tell, oh, we don't want to use that because it's new, and I hoped that technical guys didn't relate to that, but in fact a lot.
One problem of the French app is that actually if you go to Germany, it doesn't work because it only works on the French territory. Is the case for the exposure notification API as well?
It's a good question because today no apps can communicate between each other. It's possible to use exposure notification to share information between health authorities. It's not yet released by Apple and by Google, so you can't do that today, but it's planned. And the base of French app, Robert and PEPPT, was a European research initiative. And in this initiative, the goal was to share data too. Today, the only app to use that is French app, so French app can never communicate with exposure notification app, but it's not a problem of the system, it's a problem of the usage of the system.
Okay. If you wanted to ask questions directly from the audience this year, of course you can, because we are not so many, so if you just raise your hand and just speak loud, I guess everybody will understand each other. So yeah, please feel free to.
And while you're preparing your questions, I'm going to ask you, like, you said that you dug into the code of like all the parts of the StopCovid app. How long did you spend doing that, and what are your conclusions?
I was in partial work during the lockdown, so I have a lot of time to do that. And I actually read the French code, the German code, and the Singaporean code, and a bit the English code. Mostly it do what we attend to this app. It's not so complex to do that. It's complex to build the mathematical stuff, the cryptographic formula, and so on. But when you're okay with that, building the app is not so complex.
So you mean like all the base bricks were present before? Like, I was wondering who started that. Is it really Singapore who started that, or before that?
It's Singapore. Singapore started that. Open source is application, and French scientific, or European scientific take that to build their own system. But the core of the concept was already here. I mostly look about the iPhone and Android app, mobile app, because I don't understand well the server code. But all the stuff are public, and you can look that. It's really interesting. Finally, the most critic about French system was not in this code. It's about something about a CDN to protect the server behind the server, and maybe someone can put a logger in the CDN. It's some more complex stuff about operation, about hosting.
But they fixed it.
They
right?
fixed it too.
They fixed it like in a few days.
Yeah,
okay.
So
that was also interesting to have an open source app showing once again that opening the code is a good way to protect it. And
more, the French government pay a lot of white hackers to break the code, famous white hacker, and they didn't find something important.
Okay, and what about you gave us some examples and some information about why and why you would choose the Apple solution, Apple Google solution, but in terms of political reasons, do you see why France chose that? Because, I mean, for me, it's still not really clear.
Yeah, France chose this app to not rely to Apple and Google. If I have to choose one technology, I choose Apple and Google one because they drop the restriction about background mode. It's the only thing that conduct to I choose this technology. So for me, a part of that, all technologies are quite equal. But France decides that we can't. We can give all the medical data to Apple and Google, to our Apple and Google system, if geopolitics change, if United States decide to block European country, we lose all medical data. It's something like that.
It's not totally paranoid.
It's not totally paranoid.
Okay. Okay. Do you have another question, or do we have questions on the room? Okay, don't be shy.
Yes, I did not understand what point the French app
Does not work in background?
The French Android app work in background mode with the notification. The French iOS app does not work in background mode, but if you meet someone with an Android phone and the app is wake up and work 30 seconds in background mode. So you have to meet someone with Android every 30 seconds.
It's quite normal, actually.
It's quite normal in France. Normally in France, it's the case. Not here, but normally it's the case.
No, you need to meet with someone with an Android phone and the StopCovid app.
Yes, yes. It will work if the population installs the app. The main point here is to be useful, this app must be installed by a lot of people, and we have to communicate, market about that. And if no one installs the app is useless, in fact, even in background mode.
And at the end of the day, so the human system, like the old phone and the brigade guys, is actually working better than
it's working better. It's working better. It's really working better, but it's not privacy safe, and we need a lot of people. We need to pay a lot of people to do that. This technology is just to help these people, but we choose together to share our personal data or personal information, medical information to government with these people. The Paris mayor Anne Hidalgo suggest to all restaurants and bars in Paris to take the name and the phone number of all people coming in the restaurant. And the French government refused that for privacy because it's a privacy problem. If you go to a restaurant, you have your number. It's a privacy problem. But we agreed together to share information to stop the disease. And here we have technological solutions that protect our privacy, and we are still not agree with that.
Okay. Any other question before we move on? Okay. Thank you very much, Mathieu.